The stars looked different through the viewport of the Taiguk. Captain Dong Min had spent 3 months in deep space, and he still wasn't used to the way light bent around their new engine system. Earth had finally cracked faster than light travel after finding that crash probe in the Pacific. And now humanity was out here, among the stars. Hoping they weren't alone? They weren't. The message had come 2 weeks ago. A formal greeting in perfect English, Korean, Mandarin, and 40 other Earth languages. The Galactic Council welcomed humanity to the greater community. They invited Earth to send representatives to Station Harmony, a massive diplomatic hub floating in neutral space. Dongmin's small fleet of 13 ships was chosen for this historic moment. Ambassador Hana stood beside him on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. She was nervous, though she hid it well. General Yuna watched the sensor screens with the sharp eyes of someone who trusted nothing she couldn't verify herself. They were approaching the station now, and it was magnificent. The structure was larger than anything humans had built. A ring of silver and light spinning slowly in the void. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. A holographic image appeared above the command console. The alien was reptilian, with scales that shifted between green and blue. Its eyes were cold and calculating. Human vessel Taiguk, this is Overseer Thalvex of the Galactic Council. You are cleared for docking at Port 17. Welcome to Station Harmony. Dongmin nodded. Thank you, Overseer. We're honored by your invitation. The alien's lips pulled back in what might have been a smile. We are curious about your species. Your development has been unusually rapid. Most species take thousands of years to achieve what you have done in centuries. We're fast learners, Hana said carefully. The docking procedure went smoothly. Dongmin left 6 ships on patrol outside, while 7 accompanied them into the station. Security protocols, Yuna insisted. The general didn't trust anyone yet, and Dongmin had learned to listen to her instincts. Station Harmony was overwhelming. The main diplomatic hall was enormous, filled with beings from dozens of different species. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6 or none at all. Some breathed oxygen, others required special environment suits. They all turned to watch as the human delegation entered. The welcoming ceremony was formal and lengthy. Representatives from 47 species gave speeches about unity and cooperation. Hana responded with grace, thanking them for their welcome and expressing Earth's desire for peaceful relations. Dongmin stood at attention beside her, very aware that every species in the room was studying them, trying to understand what humans were doing. Everything was going perfectly until the alarms. Started. Red lights flashed throughout the station. The diplomatic hall's massive windows showed space erupting with weapons fire. Ships were appearing out of nowhere. Dark vessels with jagged hulls that looked designed to intimidate. They were firing on the station's defensive platforms. Void Reapers! Someone screamed. The elegant diplomacy dissolved into panic. Overseer Thalvex was shouting orders, but his voice was drowned out by the chaos. Dongmin grabbed his communicator. Taiguk actual to all human vessels. Battle stations. I repeat, battle stations. Sir, the Council fleet is scrambling, his tactical officer reported through the comm. They're trying to form a defensive perimeter, but these attackers knew exactly when to strike. The Council ships aren't in position. Yuna appeared at his side. She must have run from somewhere else in the station. Captain, we need to evacuate the ambassador. No, Hana said firmly. If we run now, we show weakness. These people need to see what humanity can do. Dongmin made a decision that would change everything. All ships, engage the enemy. Protect the station at all costs. The 13 human vessels broke formation and charged directly at the Void Reaper fleet. On paper, it was suicide. The Reapers had over 60 ships, and they were experienced raiders who had terrorized this part of space for decades. But Dongmin hadn't come unprepared. The human ships moved differently than anything the galaxy had seen before. They used the station itself for cover, appearing and disappearing behind its massive structure. They coordinated their fire with precision that seemed impossible. Each ship knew exactly where the others were and what they were doing at every moment. The first Reaper ship died to a kinetic strike. The Taiguk had launched a solid metal slug at a significant fraction of light speed. When it hit, the enemy vessel simply disintegrated. The second ship fell to a cyber attack that turned its own weapons against its hull. The third, fourth, and fifth were overwhelmed by drone swarms that the human ships deployed like angry hornets. Dongmin watched his tactical display with cold focus. Target their command ship. Hit it with everything. 3 human destroyers concentrated their fire on the largest Reaper vessel. The alien ship's shields flared and died. Its hull cracked open, venting atmosphere and bodies into space. The rest of the Reaper fleet hesitated, confused. They had expected easy prey, not this coordinated resistance. "They're regrouping," Yuna observed. "They'll try a concentrated assault." "Let them try," Dongmin said quietly. But the Reapers didn't get the chance. The human ships had positioned themselves perfectly. When the enemy fleet tried to gather, they found themselves in a crossfire that no amount of shielding could withstand. Ship after ship exploded or went dark. The raiders who had terrorized the sector for generations were being systematically destroyed by a species they'd never heard of until today. 30-7 minutes after the battle began. The surviving Reaper ships jumped to faster than light speed and fled. Of their 60-ship fleet, only 16 escaped. The space around Station Harmony was filled with debris and dying vessels. The human fleet hadn't lost a single ship. The diplomatic hall was silent when Dongmin returned. Every being in the room was staring at him and his crew. Ambassador Hana stood calmly, though he could see the relief in her eyes. Overseer Thalvex approached slowly, his reptilian face showing something that might have been awe or fear. "You destroyed the Void Reapers," he said. His voice was barely above a whisper. "No one has ever defeated them so decisively. Your military capability is extraordinary." Hannah smiled politely. "We're grateful we could help. The Reapers won't threaten this station again." Another alien stepped forward, an insectoid creature with multiple arms. "Your ships fought with perfect coordination. Your weapons are unlike anything in our databases. How long did it take your civilization to develop such a fleet?" "Quite some time," Hana said diplomatically. Thalvex looked toward the windows, where the human ships were taking up defensive positions. "How long will it take to repair your fleet and call for reinforcements? We must ensure the Reapers don't return." Ambassador Hana glanced at Dongmin, who gave her a slight nod. She turned back to the assembled council with that same calm smile. "Oh, these ships are fine. We didn't take significant damage. But reinforcements won't be necessary. I think we've demonstrated we can handle any security concerns." The Overseer's scales shifted color. "But surely you'll need to return to Earth to regroup, to bring more of your fleet here. You've committed your entire military force to protect us." General Yuna spoke for the first time since returning. "Overseer, I think there's been a misunderstanding. These 13 ships aren't our entire fleet. They're not even a significant portion of it. They're a diplomatic escort." The silence that followed was absolute. Every being in the room understood the implication. If this was just an escort, what did Earth's actual military look like? Dongmin saw fear, respect, and calculation in dozens of alien eyes. The political landscape of the galaxy had just shifted, and no one yet understood by how much. They would learn soon enough. 3 months had passed since the battle at Station Harmony. The Galactic Council had moved with unusual speed to grant Earth membership. Ambassador Hana now sat in the grand chamber where the fate of thousands of worlds was decided. The seat reserved for humanity was new, hastily added to accommodate the species that had saved them from the Void Reapers. Director Jiwoo watched the proceedings from Earth. Her office deep beneath Seoul. She ran the Intelligence Bureau, and her job was to understand the galaxy that humanity had just joined. What she'd learned so far worried her. The galaxy was dangerous in ways most civilians didn't understand. The Void Reapers were just one threat among many. The council chamber was magnificent. Representatives from 47 species sat in a circular arrangement, each position carefully designed for their specific biology. Some breathed different atmospheres. Others existed in different temperature ranges. Technology bridged these gaps, allowing everyone to communicate and coexist. Counselor Valshara leaned toward Hana during a recess. The insectoid delegate had become an unexpected friend. Her species valued efficiency and direct communication, traits Hana appreciated. "You're handling the politics well," Valshara said, her translator rendering her clicks and whistles into Korean. "But you should know that not everyone trusts humanity." "I wouldn't trust us either," Hana admitted quietly. "We appeared suddenly, with military capabilities that match or exceed most council members. That's frightening." "It is," Valshara agreed. "Especially because we don't understand how you achieved it. Your planet is young. You've had space travel for less than a century. Most species need 10 times that long to build what you showed us at Station Harmony." Hannah chose her words carefully. "My people have always been good at warfare. It's not something we're proud of, but it's the truth." Back on Earth, Admiral Kang reviewed construction reports from the shipyards orbiting Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Production was ahead of schedule. The new destroyer class would be ready for deployment in 6 months. The carrier groups were already conducting exercises in the outer system. Earth's military was expanding rapidly, but they were keeping it quiet. No need to alarm their new galactic neighbors. Kang's communicator buzzed. It was Jiwoo. "Admiral, we have a situation developing. The Korth Dominion is making moves near our territorial claims." "Tell me," Kang said, pulling up star charts. "They're a militaristic empire. They've been watching us since first contact. Our intelligence suggests they believe our victory at Station Harmony was impressive but not sustainable. They think we committed everything we had to that one battle." Kang smiled grimly. "They think we're bluffing." "Exactly. And they're preparing to call that bluff." The situation escalated quickly. The Korth Dominion laid claim to 3 star systems that Earth had already surveyed and designated for colonization. The systems were rich in rare minerals and perfect for human habitation. Kang had already assigned construction crews to begin building orbital facilities. At the next council session, the Korth ambassador made his move. He was a large being, heavily muscled and covered in thick armor-like skin. His species had conquered 17 other civilizations before joining the council. They understood strength and respected only strength. The systems designated as Epsilon 7, Epsilon 8, and Epsilon 9 fall within traditional Korth territory, the ambassador announced. "We formally demand that the human delegation withdraw their illegal claims." Hannah stood slowly. "Those systems are unclaimed according to council law. Earth discovered them, surveyed them, and filed proper documentation. They belong to humanity." The Korth ambassador's laugh was harsh. "You have 13 ships, human. We have 3,000. You cannot defend these systems. Withdraw peacefully, or we will remove you by force." General Yuna was attending this session as Earth's military liaison. She stood beside Hana, her face impassive. "The Korth Dominion is welcome to try." The chamber erupted in worried chatter. Other delegates knew what this meant. War. A war between a new species with 13 known ships and an empire with thousands. It seemed like suicide for humanity. Overseer Thalvex called for order. This is highly irregular. Ambassador Hana, are you certain you want to take this position? The Korth military is formidable. Perhaps a compromise could be reached. There is no compromise on sovereign territory, Hana said firmly. Earth will defend its claims. The Korth ambassador stood. Then you will die defending them. We will send our fleet to Epsilon 7 in 1 week. If your ships are still there, we will destroy them. Ji Wu watched the session through a secure video feed. As soon as it ended, she contacted Admiral Kang. They're really doing it. They think we're helpless. Let them think that, Kang said. How many ships are they sending? Intelligence suggests their entire second fleet. Almost 3,000 vessels. They want to make an example of us, show the galaxy what happens when you challenge Korth authority. 3,000, Kang mused. That's actually fewer than I expected. They're still underestimating us significantly. Admiral, even with our full strength, 3,000 ships is a serious threat. Kang pulled up deployment orders he'd prepared weeks ago. Director, how long have humans been preparing for hostile first contact? Ji Wu knew the answer. Since we discovered that alien probe. 73 years. 73 years of building, planning, and preparing for the possibility that whoever was out here might not be friendly. We hoped for peace, but we prepared for war. The Korth are about to learn why that distinction matters. On Station Harmony, Hana requested a private meeting with the Korth leadership. It was granted, though the Korth commander who attended made his contempt obvious. Warlord Genther was a career military officer who had led the Korth fleets for 3 decades. He'd won battles against species far more advanced than he believed humanity to be. Ambassador, he said, his translator making his growl sound almost polite. Have you come to accept our generous offer? Withdraw from the disputed systems, and we will consider this matter closed. I came to warn you, Hana said. Attacking human territory would be a mistake. A catastrophic one. Genther's amusement was obvious. Your courage is admirable, but foolish. We have analyzed your ships from the Station Harmony battle. They are advanced, yes, but you only have 13 of them. Our fleet will crush them in hours. Warlord, you're making assumptions based on incomplete information. I'm making assessments based on observable facts. You appeared at Station Harmony with 13 ships. They are still the only human vessels anyone in the galaxy has seen. Therefore, they are your entire fleet. Perhaps you have a few more in construction, but not enough to matter. Hana leaned forward. What if I told you that those 13 ships were just a diplomatic escort? That Earth's actual military is considerably larger? Then I would say you are bluffing, Genther replied. A young species does not build massive fleets in secret. It is economically and logistically impossible. You are trying to frighten us with words because you lack the weapons to back them up. I'm trying to prevent unnecessary bloodshed. The only blood that will be shed is human blood. Unless you withdraw immediately. Genther stood. You have 5 days left. Use them to evacuate your people from those systems. After that, anyone remaining will be considered an enemy combatant. After the Korth commander left, Velshara entered the private chamber. She'd been waiting outside. That went poorly. As expected, Hana said. He's convinced we're weak. Nothing I say will change his mind. Are you weak? Velshara asked directly. Hana smiled sadly. No, we're not. And in 5 days, the entire galaxy is going to see exactly how not weak we are. I wish there was another way. There isn't, Velshara said. The Korth only understand strength. They've been bullying smaller species for generations. Maybe it's time someone reminded them that size isn't everything. On Earth, final preparations were underway. Admiral Kang reviewed the deployment orders one last time. Fleet Admiral Daeun would command the operation from his flagship, the Seoul. 3 full carrier groups would jump to Epsilon 7, along with supporting destroyer and cruiser squadrons. The Korth were sending 3,000 ships. Earth was sending 500, but those 500 ships represented technology and tactics that the Korth had never encountered. More importantly, they represented a human philosophy of warfare that the galaxy didn't understand yet. When humans fought, they didn't fight to win battles. They fought to end wars. The countdown began. 5 days until the Korth fleet arrived. 5 days until the galaxy learned the truth about humanity's military strength. 5 days until everything changed. Director Jiwoo sent one final message to Ambassador Hana. All pieces in position. Good hunting. Hana read the message and deleted it. She looked out at the stars visible from her quarters on Station Harmony. Somewhere out there, fleets were moving. History was about to be made. She just hoped that when it was over, there would still be room for peace. The Korth invasion fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel like a swarm of angry insects. 2,847 warships materialized in the Epsilon 7 system, their weapons already charging. It was the largest military force assembled in 3 centuries of galactic history. Warlord Ganther stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominant Fang, and allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The human defenders were already visible on his screens. 3 ships. Just 3. This is insulting, his tactical officer said. They send 3 vessels against our entire fleet? Do they mock us? Ganther studied the enemy ships. One was the Taeguk, the vessel that had performed so impressively at Station Harmony. The other 2 were destroyer-class ships he hadn't seen before. They were holding position near the system's 4th planet, making no aggressive moves. Perhaps they truly don't understand what they face. Open a channel. The human captain appeared on his view screen. It was the same one from the station battle. Dongmin, the record said his name was. He looked calm, which irritated Ganther. The humans should be terrified. Captain Dongmin, Ganther said formally, you are outnumbered nearly 1,000 to 1. I offer you one final chance to surrender and withdraw. Your ships will be allowed to leave safely. Dongmin's expression didn't change. Warlord, surrender is not in our vocabulary, but retreat still is. For you, turn your fleet around and leave this system. Last chance. The audacity of it made several bridge officers laugh. Ganther silenced them with a gesture. You are either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. I haven't decided which. Very well. If you choose death, I will grant it. He cut the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. All ships, attack formation. Destroy those vessels. The Korth fleet surged forward like a tidal wave of metal and death. Their formation was textbook perfect, designed to overwhelm through sheer numbers. The 3 human ships accelerated to meet them, and for a moment, Ganther admired their courage. Even if it was misplaced, the battle began with brutal efficiency. The human ships were fast, incredibly so. They wove through the Korth formation like dancers, their weapons carving destruction wherever they struck. One Korth cruiser exploded, then another. The humans used tactics Ganther had never seen, coordinating their fire to target specific weak points on enemy shields. But 3 ships against thousands could only accomplish so much. The Korth fleet began to envelop them, surrounding them from all sides. Ganther allowed himself a grim smile. In moments, it would be over. These brave but foolish humans would die, and the disputed systems would belong to the Korth Dominion. Then space itself tore open. Quantum tunnels appeared throughout the system, ripping reality like paper. Through them came ships. Hundreds of ships. Then thousands. Sleek human destroyers with missile batteries that could level mountains. Massive carriers launching fighter craft by the hundreds. Cruisers bristling with weapons that Genther's sensors couldn't even classify. Agile corvettes that moved faster than anything he'd seen. Enormous battleships that dwarfed his own flagship. How many? Genther whispered. His tactical officer's voice shook. Over 5,000 vessels, Warlord. They're still coming through. Commander Bitna led Battle Group Inchin into the fight. Her frigate Indomitable was one of the newer designs, built in the Mars shipyards just 2 years ago. She'd been waiting in quantum space for this moment, her crew ready and eager. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Target their command and control vessels first. A squadron of 60 ships moved as one. They'd trained together for months, running simulations of exactly this scenario. The Korth had numbers, but they'd never faced an opponent like this. Their formations were designed for territorial expansion, not actual warfare against a peer opponent. Lieutenant Hyon sat in the cockpit of his fighter, the Dragon 7. It was smaller than anything else in the system, barely larger than an old-fashioned jet aircraft. But it was fast, impossibly fast. His squadron of 48 fighters launched from the carrier New Hope and screamed toward the Korth flagship. Dragon Squadron, this is Dragon Lead, Hyon transmitted. Let's show them what a real fighter wing can do. The small craft moved through the battle like phantoms. Korth point defense systems tried to track them and failed. The fighters were using some kind of electronic warfare that confused enemy sensors. By the time the Korth realized where they were, it was too late. Hyon's squadron struck the dominant Fang with precision missiles designed to disable rather than destroy. The massive flagship's engines went dark. Its weapons fell silent. Warlord Genther grabbed his command console as his ship shuddered. Report. All systems failing, Warlord. Some kind of targeted electromagnetic pulse. Our backup systems are trying to compensate, but the lights on the bridge went out, replaced by dim emergency lighting. Outside, the battle had turned into a massacre. The Korth fleet, so confident minutes ago, was being systematically dismantled. Human ships worked in perfect coordination, their tactics flowing seamlessly from one to another. They used the system's asteroid field for cover, appearing and disappearing in ways that seemed impossible. They hacked into Korth communications, sowing confusion. They deployed weapons the Korth had no defense against. Commander Bitna watched her tactical display with professional satisfaction. The Korth were brave fighters, she'd give them that. But they were trained for conquering weaker opponents, not for fighting a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of killing each other. Every lesson humanity had learned in countless wars throughout their bloody history was being applied here. Enemy flagship is dead in space, her tactical officer reported. Boarding teams are standing by. Send them in, Bitna ordered. I want their commander alive. Fleet Admiral Dahan's orders. On the Sol, Fleet Admiral Dahan watched the battle with the cold assessment of a man who'd spent 40 years in military service. The Korth were breaking. Their formation had collapsed. Individual ships were trying to retreat, but human vessels were cutting off every escape route. It was almost sad. The Korth had thought they were predators, but they'd never met a species that had refined predation to an art form. Damage report? He asked. Minimal, sir. We've lost 3 destroyers, 2 corvettes. Another dozen ships with moderate damage. Casualties are light. Dan nodded. They'd wargamed this scenario 100 times. The projections had predicted they'd lose more ships than this. The Korth had fought bravely, but predictably. Send the surrender demand. Standard terms. Any ship that powers down weapons and accepts boarding will be spared. Any ship that continues fighting will be destroyed. The message went out across all frequencies, in every language the Korth fleet could receive. Slowly, reluctantly, Korth ships began to power down. They'd lost over 2,000 vessels in just 40 minutes. Their flagship was disabled, their formation shattered, their will broken. Surrender was the only rational choice. Warlord Genther was brought aboard the Taigak in restraints. Captain Dong Min met him in the conference room, the same room where diplomats had once planned peaceful first contact. Now it held a defeated warlord who'd badly miscalculated. "I don't understand," Genther said. His translator made his confusion sound almost pitiful. "We analyzed your fleet. 13 ships. That's all anyone had seen. How did you hide so many vessels? How did we not detect them?" Dongmin gestured for the guards to remove the restraints. There was no point in them now. "Warlord, those 13 ships weren't our fleet. They were an exploratory mission. A diplomatic escort. Earth's actual military never left home." "This was your military?" Genther looked at the star charts showing the battle's aftermath. 5,000 ships? "No," Dongmin said quietly. "This was an expeditionary force. A fraction of our total strength. The bulk of our fleet is still defending Earth and our core systems." The color drained from Genther's face, or whatever his species equivalent was. "How many ships does Earth have?" "Enough," Dongmin replied. "Enough to defend our territory. Enough to protect our interests. Enough that you should never have attacked us." Throughout the galaxy, species watched the battle recordings in stunned silence. The footage had been transmitted live by war scholar Dex, a neutral observer from the Council. Every government, every military, every intelligence agency saw the same thing. The Korth Dominion, one of the most powerful militaries in known space, had been crushed by a species that hadn't even existed on the galactic stage. 6 months ago, Ambassador Hana received messages from dozens of delegations. Some congratulated her. Others requested urgent meetings. A few openly asked for military alliances. The political landscape of the galaxy had shifted dramatically in less than an hour. Counselor Valshara found Hana in her quarters. "You started something that can't be stopped. Every species in the galaxy now knows that humanity is a military power beyond anything they imagined." "We didn't want this," Hana said tiredly. "We wanted peace, trade, scientific cooperation. The Korth forced our hand." "I know," Valshara said gently, "but intentions don't matter anymore. What matters is that the galaxy has seen what humans can do when pushed. Some will respect you for it. Others will fear you. A few will hate you. Welcome to galactic politics." Back in Epsilon 7, cleanup operations were underway. Human medical teams were treating wounded Korth sailors. Engineering crews were helping stabilize damaged enemy vessels. Prisoners were being processed with respect and efficiency. Earth had won decisively, but they were showing mercy to the defeated. It was a calculated move, designed to show the galaxy that humanity could be both strong and compassionate. Lieutenant Hyen landed his fighter on the New Hope's deck and climbed out, exhausted. His squadron had performed flawlessly. Not a single pilot lost. Around him, other crews were celebrating, but he felt no joy. They'd killed thousands today. Enemy combatants, yes, but still lives ended. War was ugly, even when you won. Fleet Admiral Dae-Yoon sent his final report to Earth. The battle was over. Humanity had won its first major war in space. But he knew it wouldn't be the last. The galaxy had seen Earth's strength now. That changed everything. Some species would seek friendship. Others would seek to test them. A few might seek revenge. The peaceful future Earth had hoped for seemed further away than ever. Even in victory, the emergency session of the Galactic Council was the most well-attended in recorded history. Every species sent their highest-ranking delegates. Even species that hadn't participated in council affairs for decades sent representatives. Everyone wanted to understand what had happened at Epsilon 7 and what it meant for the galaxy's future. High Chancellor Verdun called the session to order with obvious difficulty. The ancient being had led the council for 30 years, but he'd never faced a situation like this. A new species had joined the galactic community and immediately demonstrated military capabilities that rivaled the combined strength of the 5 most powerful civilizations. The balance of power that had kept peace for generations was suddenly terrifyingly unstable. "We have all seen the battle recordings," Verdun began. "We have all studied the data. The question before this council is simple but profound. What do we do about humanity?" War Scholar Dex was invited to present his analysis. The scholarly species made their living documenting conflicts throughout the galaxy, maintaining neutral status to observe and record. Dex had witnessed the battle personally from his observation ship, and his report was thorough and disturbing. The human victory was not accidental or lucky, Dex explained, his multiple arms gesturing at holographic displays. It was the result of systematic planning and execution. They baited the Korth into attacking, chose the battlefield, and controlled every aspect of the engagement. The Korth never had a chance, but how? Demanded a delegate from the Vrax Collective. Where did they get such technology? Such numbers? We've monitored Earth for years. Their industrial capacity shouldn't support a fleet of that size. That's what we believed, Dex agreed. We were wrong. Humanity has been building their military in secret for over 70 years. They have shipyards we never detected, facilities hidden throughout their solar system. They've been preparing for hostile first contact since they discovered they weren't alone. Overseer Thalvex spoke from his seat. I propose immediate quarantine protocols. Humanity is clearly a threat to galactic stability. We should contain them to their own system until we better understand their intentions. With what ships? Councillor Velshara shot back. Did you not watch the battle? The Korth sent nearly 3,000 vessels and were destroyed in less than an hour. How exactly do you propose we enforce a quarantine? The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species demanded action against Earth. Others counseled caution. A few suggested immediate alliance. The fear was obvious. For the first time in centuries, the Council faced a power it couldn't control or predict. Ambassador Hana sat in the human delegation area, listening quietly. She'd been summoned to address the Council, but they were so busy arguing among themselves that they'd forgotten to call on her. She waited patiently. Beside her, General Yuna watched the chaos with professional interest. They're scared, Yuna said softly. They should be, Hana replied. We scared ourselves when we ran the projections. If another species had shown what we showed at Epsilon 7, Earth would be terrified too. Finally, Verdun managed to restore order. Ambassador Hana, the Council requests your presence at the central podium. Hana walked to the speaking platform, very aware that thousands of eyes from dozens of species were watching her. She took a breath and began. Honorable delegates, I understand your concern. Earth has revealed capabilities that surprised you. That wasn't our intention. We hope to integrate peacefully into galactic society. The Korth Dominion forced us to defend ourselves. You call that defense? Someone shouted. You destroyed an entire fleet. Yes, Hana said calmly. We did, because they attacked us. Because they refused diplomacy. Because they believed we were weak and could be conquered. We proved them wrong by showing the galaxy that you're the strongest military power in known space, Thalvex said. What are your intentions, Ambassador? What does Earth want? It was the question Hana had been preparing to answer since this session was announced. The same thing we've always wanted: peace, trade, scientific cooperation. The chance to explore the stars and learn from other species. We didn't come here to conquer. We came to join you. But you brought an army, another delegate said. No, Hana corrected. We brought the means to defend ourselves. There's a difference. Professor Minjay was next to address the council. She was a historian, one of Earth's leading experts on human conflict and development. The council had requested her presence to help them understand how humanity had become what it was. She was nervous but determined. Honorable delegates, Minjay began. To understand humanity's military capabilities, you need to understand our history. Earth is a violent world. For thousands of years, my species fought wars. Constant, brutal wars. Nation against nation, ideology against ideology, religion against religion. We fought over territory, resources, beliefs, and sometimes for no good reason at all. The chamber was silent now, listening intently. We developed weapons that could destroy cities, then weapons that could destroy continents. Eventually, we created weapons that could destroy our entire planet several times over. We lived for generations under the threat of total annihilation. Not from an alien invasion, but from ourselves. How did you survive? Velshara asked. By learning, Minjay said. Slowly, painfully, we learned that cooperation was better than conflict. We formed global governments. We shared resources. We turned our weapons programs into space programs. But we never forgot the lessons we'd learned. We never forgot how to fight. She pulled up historical images of human conflicts. Ancient battles with swords and shields. Medieval sieges with catapults and arrows. Industrial wars with tanks and aircraft. Modern conflicts with missiles and drones. Every generation of humans refined the art of warfare. We studied strategy and tactics the way other species study music or mathematics. It's not something we're proud of, but it's part of who we are. So you're saying humanity is inherently violent? Dalvex challenged. No, Minjay said firmly. We're saying that humanity learned hard lessons about violence. We know its costs. We know its horrors. That's why we seek peace. But we also know how to wage war if we must. The 13 ships at Station Harmony weren't our military because humanity doesn't have a military. We have militaries, plural. The revelation sent shockwaves through the chamber. Minjay continued. Earth maintains 7 independent space forces. The United Nations Space Command that you encountered at Epsilon 7 is just one. Each nation and alliance maintains its own defensive capabilities. We learned that centralized power can be dangerous, so we distributed it. 7 armies, Verdun said weakly. You have 7 separate military organizations? 8, if you count the Colonial Defense Forces, Minjay said. But they're not armies in the way you're thinking. They're defensive organizations designed to protect Earth and our colonies. The fleet at Epsilon 7 was an expeditionary force, not a defensive one. Agent Selman watched the council session from Director Jiwoo's office. She'd spent the last 6 months documenting humanity's military capabilities, creating the comprehensive report that was now being distributed to council members. The numbers in that report were causing panic. They're realizing the implications, Jiwoo said, reading incoming messages from various delegations. Species that were considering aggression are suddenly very friendly. Territorial disputes are being quietly dropped. Trade agreements are being renegotiated in our favor. Is that what we wanted? Soman asked. It's what we needed, Jiwoo replied. Fear creates respect. Respect creates space. Space creates opportunity for real diplomacy. In a few years, maybe they'll see us as partners instead of threats. But right now, fear keeps us safe. High Chancellor Verdun requested a private meeting with Ambassador Hana after the session ended. They met in his personal chambers, a space designed to accommodate his species-specific environmental needs. He looked old and tired. Ambassador, Verdun said carefully, I must ask you a question that terrifies me. The fleet at Epsilon 7, those 5,000 ships. That's not Earth's full strength, is it? Hannah considered lying, but decided truth was more valuable. No, Chancellor. It's not. How much did you commit to that battle? Approximately 30% of our expeditionary capabilities. The defensive fleets protecting Earth and our core colonies never moved. They're larger and better equipped than what you saw at Epsilon 7. Verdun closed his eyes. I'm very old, Ambassador. I've led this council through wars, famines, and diplomatic crises. But I've never felt fear like this. Your species appeared seemingly from nowhere with the power to reshape galactic politics. That's terrifying. I understand, Hannah said gently. If the situation were reversed, I'd be terrified too. But Chancellor, I need you to understand something. Earth has had the capability to destroy itself for over 2 centuries. We've had weapons that could end all life on our planet. We chose not to use them. We chose cooperation over annihilation. That same choice guides us now. You're saying I should trust humanity's restraint? I'm saying you should trust humanity's experience. We know what happens when power is used without wisdom. We've lived through it. We've barely survived it. We don't want to repeat those mistakes on a galactic scale. Director Jiwoo arranged a meeting with Vergen that same evening. She wanted to ensure the Council understood Earth's position completely. They met in a secure conference room, just the two of them and their respective security details. Chancellor, I appreciate your concerns, Jiwoo said. I want to be completely transparent with you. The forces deployed at Epsilon 7 were expeditionary. Earth's primary defensive armadas are significantly more powerful. We have weapon systems we didn't use, technologies we haven't revealed, capabilities that would frighten you even more than what you've already seen. Why are you telling me this? Verdun asked. Because I want you to understand that despite all that power, all those weapons, all that capability, Earth hasn't used it for conquest. We've been a spacefaring species for 70 years. We could have expanded aggressively. We could have taken systems by force. We didn't. We waited for you to contact us. We saw peaceful integration. That should tell you something about our true intentions. Verdun was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he asked, What is Earth want, Director? What are your real goals? The same thing every species wants, Chancellor. Survival, prosperity, a future for our children. We're not interested in empire. We're interested in security. The difference is important. And if someone threatens that security, then they'll learn what the Court learned. But we prefer it never comes to that. War is expensive, wasteful, and tragic. We'd much rather be partners than enemies. As news of the Council session spread, the galaxy's political landscape shifted dramatically. Species that had been neutral suddenly sought alliances with Earth. Trading partners offered better terms. Territorial disputes that had simmered for decades were suddenly resolved. Everyone wanted to be on humanity's good side, and no one wanted to be their enemy. Ambassador Hannah returned to her quarters and looked at Earth through her window. The blue planet looked peaceful from here, but she knew the truth. Orbiting that beautiful world were defensive platforms, weapon systems, and fleets that could fight off any invasion. Hidden throughout the solar system were shipyards, research facilities, and military bases that the galaxy was only beginning to understand. Humanity had revealed its strength. Now came the hard part. Convincing the galaxy that strength could coexist with peace. That power didn't have to mean oppression. That the species capable of such devastating warfare was also capable of choosing not to wage it. The galaxy was watching. History was being written. And humanity stood at a crossroads, hoping they could prove that the lessons learned through thousands of years of conflict had taught them something valuable. that they could be strong without being cruel, powerful without being tyrannical, capable of war but committed to peace. The warning came 6 months after the Fourth War ended. A council science station on the galactic rim went silent. Then another. Then 5 more. Search and rescue teams sent to investigate never returned. When military vessels were dispatched, they sent back fragmentary messages about massive ships, energy signatures beyond anything known, and something consuming entire stations before they could react. Then, those ships went silent too. The Galactic Council had faced many threats throughout its long history, but nothing like this. Within 3 weeks, 3 entire species had been wiped out. Not conquered or defeated, but completely erased. Their home worlds were left as barren rocks, stripped of all biological matter and most of their atmosphere. The few survivors who escaped spoke in terrified whispers of the Devourers, creatures from beyond the galactic rim who consumed everything in their path. Chancellor Verdin convened an emergency military council. Every major species sent their top military commanders. The chamber was filled with admirals, generals, and war leaders who had never agreed on anything. Now they faced extinction together. The Devourers are not a myth, Verdin announced grimly. They are real, they are here, and they are destroying us systematically. Our combined fleets have engaged them 4 times. We've lost every battle. They're not just more advanced than us. They're operating on a completely different technological level. Fleet Admiral Dayan sat in the human delegation area, listening carefully. He'd reviewed every piece of data the Council had on these Devourers. The tactical analysis was sobering. Their ships could withstand firepower that would vaporize anything in the known galaxy. Their weapons could punch through shields as if they didn't exist. Their numbers seemed endless. Ambassador Hana watched as species after species reported their losses. The Vrax Collective had lost 40% of their fleet. The Therian Union's home world was under siege. The Krell Commonwealth was evacuating their core systems. The galaxy was dying, and no one knew how to stop it. Overseer Thalvax stood to speak, and for the first time since Hana had known him, he looked genuinely frightened. We estimate that at their current rate of advance, the Devourers will reach Council space in 6 weeks. Our projections suggest that without a significant change in tactics or technology, the Galactic Council will cease to exist in approximately 4 months. The chamber fell silent. 4 months until the end of galactic civilization. 4 months until thousands of years of culture, art, and knowledge were consumed by an unstoppable force from beyond their known universe. Verdin took a breath and did something unprecedented in Council history. I am formally requesting military assistance from the United Nations of Earth. As High Chancellor, I am prepared to grant Earth Emergency Command authority over all remaining Council forces. We are asking humanity to save us. The chamber erupted. Some delegates protested immediately. Others nodded in agreement. A few simply looked resigned. Hannah glanced at Fleet Admiral Dayan, who remained impassive. They discussed this possibility weeks ago. As soon as the Devour reports started coming in, Dayan stood and walked to the central podium. He was an older man, his hair gray, his face marked by decades of service. But his eyes were sharp and his voice was steady. The United Nations of Earth accepts command authority on the following conditions. First, all military forces will follow human tactical doctrine without question. Second, we require complete access to all Council technology and scientific data. Third, diplomatic authority remains with the Council, but battlefield decisions are ours alone. That's asking for complete control, someone protested. That's asking for the authority necessary to win, Dahyun corrected. You fought these Devourers 4 times using your tactics. You've lost 4 times. Either you trust us to try something different, or you continue losing until there's nothing left to lose. Verdun didn't hesitate. All conditions are accepted. Fleet Admiral, the Council's military forces are yours to command. Save us. What happened next shocked every species in the galaxy. Earth didn't send reinforcements from their expeditionary fleets. They didn't redeploy the forces that had defeated the Korth. Instead, they activated protocols that had been in place since humanity first left their solar system. From Earth came the home fleet, massive beyond imagination. Ships that had been built in secret shipyards, designs that had never left human space, weapon systems that existed only in classified files. From Mars came the Second Fleet, specialized in rapid assault. From Jupiter's moons came the Titan Fleet, carriers and support vessels by the thousands. From hidden facilities throughout human territory came ship after ship. After ship. Dr. Nari was called to the council to present her research. She was a xenobiologist who had studied the Devourer tissue samples recovered from destroyed council vessels. What she discovered changed everything. They're not conquerors, Nari explained to the assembled military leadership. They're refugees. The Devourers are fleeing from something. Their biology is designed for extreme long-distance travel and resource consumption. They're stripping worlds because they need the energy to keep running. Running from what? Velshara asked. We don't know, Nari admitted. But whatever it is, it frightened them enough to flee across the galactic void. They're not evil. They're desperate. And desperation makes any species dangerous. Fleet Admiral Dayan studied the data carefully. Can we communicate with them? Maybe, Nari said. Their neural structure suggests intelligence comparable to our own. But they're so focused on survival that I'm not sure they're even aware we're sentient. To them, we might just be obstacles in their path. Then we need to make them aware, Dayan said. And we need to offer them an alternative to consuming the galaxy. The combined fleet that assembled in the Sirius sector was the largest military force in galactic history. Over 8,000 human vessels joined with the remaining council ships, creating an armada of nearly 15,000 warships. Command fell to Fleet Admiral Dayan, with council officers serving as liaisons to their respective species. Forces. Lieutenant Hyan was assigned to a special mission. His squadron of dragon fighters was equipped with experimental communication equipment designed by Dr. Nari. Their job was to penetrate, devour space, and establish contact. It was likely a suicide mission. Every pilot in the squadron volunteered anyway. The Devourers arrived in Sirius right on schedule. Their fleet was massive, hundreds of enormous ships that dwarfed anything the galaxy had built. Their weapons began charging immediately, preparing to consume the star system and everything in it. The combined fleet moved to intercept. The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. Human tactics clashed with Devourer technology in a fight that raged across 3 planets and 2 asteroid fields. Council ships fought with desperate courage, following human tactical doctrine even when it seemed suicidal. Human vessels deployed weapons that pushed the boundaries of known physics, trying to find something, anything, that could hurt the invaders. Commander Bitna led her battle group in a flanking maneuver that would have been suicide against any other opponent. Her ships dove through the corona of Sirius itself, using the star's radiation as cover. When they emerged behind the Devourer formation, they struck with concentrated fire that actually damaged one of the enormous enemy vessels. It was the first time anyone had successfully hurt a Devourer ship, but the cost was terrible. Council ships died by the dozens. Human vessels, advanced as they were, struggled against the Devourer's superior technology. For every enemy ship damaged, 5 allied vessels were destroyed. The math was simple and horrifying. At this rate, they would lose. Lieutenant Hyam led his squadron on their desperate mission. They'd waited for the perfect moment when the Devourer fleet was focused on the main battle. Now they punched through the enemy lines, their small fires too fast and too small for the massive Devourer weapons to track effectively. "This is insane," one of his pilots transmitted. "We're flying into the heart of their fleet with communication equipment that might not even work." "You're right," Hyan agreed. "It is insane, but it's the mission. Stay tight and follow my lead." They penetrated deeper into Devourer space than any vessel had gone before. The massive alien ships surrounded them like mechanical mountains. Hyan activated the communication device, broadcasting on every frequency Dr. Nari thought might work. For long seconds, nothing happened. Then everything changed. A voice, if it could be called that, filled every communication channel. It was massive, alien, incomprehensible. But Dr. Nari's translation algorithms began processing it, converting the alien thoughts into something humans could understand. "You speak?" the voice said, sounding surprised. "You are aware?" "Yes," Hyan transmitted. "We're alive. We're intelligent. We're trying to understand why you're attacking us." The battle began to slow. Devourer ships stopped firing. The massive alien vessels seemed confused, uncertain. The voice spoke again, and this time there was something like horror in its tone. "We did not know. The small things that flee, the structures we consume, they are alive? They are thinking?" "Yes," Hyan said. "You're killing us. You're destroying entire civilizations." "We flee," the voice said. "We flee from the ending. We consume to survive. But we did not know we consumed life. We did not know you were more than resources." On the Sol, Fleet Admiral Dahan received the transmission and made a split-second decision. "All forces, cease fire. I repeat, cease fire immediately. Lieutenant Hyan, you have command authority for negotiation. Dr. Nari is standing by to assist." For the next 6 hours, while two massive fleets faced each other in tense standoff, a junior lieutenant and a xenobiologist negotiated with an alien intelligence that could destroy them all. They learned that the Devourers were fleeing from something they called the Ending, a force that consumed entire galaxies. They'd been running for thousands of years, stripped of everything but survival instinct, desperate for energy to continue their flight. Dr. Nari proposed a solution. Earth's quantum technology, combined with Council energy generation systems, could provide the Devourers with enough power to reach their destination without consuming inhabited worlds. It would require cooperation. It would require trust. It would require every species working together to solve a problem that threatened them all. The voice considered. "Why would you help us? We have killed your kind. We have destroyed your worlds." "Because you didn't know," Hyan said simply. "And because we've learned that survival isn't a zero-sum game. We can both live. We can both win. That's what civilization means." The war ended not with victory, but with understanding. The Devourers agreed to cease their attacks. Human engineers and council, scientists began the massive project of creating energy stations that could sustain the Devourer fleet. The aliens, in turn, shared knowledge of the galaxy beyond, warning of other dangers and offering technology that would help the Council prepare for threats yet to come. 6 months later, Ambassador Hana stood with Captain Dong Min aboard the Taiguk, now formally recognized as humanity's diplomatic flagship. They watched as the first Devourer ship integrated into a galactic energy station, a symbol of the cooperation that had been achieved. "Do you think they'll ever truly trust us?" Dong Min asked. Hana smiled. "Trust? Maybe not completely. But respect? We've earned that. And in the galaxy we found, perhaps that's more valuable." They looked at Earth through the viewport, the beautiful blue planet surrounded by defensive fleets that had proven themselves in battle, but chosen peace when possible. The galaxy had learned that humanity possessed incredible military power. But more importantly, they'd learned that humanity knew when to fight and when to find another way. On Earth, General Yuna reviewed deployment schedules in her office. The expeditionary forces were rotating home. The defensive fleets remained on station. Research divisions continued their work. Somewhere in the asteroid belt, new ships were being built. Not for conquest, not for aggression, just in case, because humanity had learned, across millennia of hard lessons, that peace was precious and worth defending. They'd proven they could fight. Now they were proving they could do something harder. They could build. They could cooperate. They could turn potential enemies into unlikely allies. The galaxy would never fully understand humanity's capacity for violence or peace. But they would never again make the mistake of underestimating them. More importantly, they'd learned that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or their tactics. It was their ability to learn, adapt, and find solutions that no one else had considered. Director Jiwoo received a final report from Agent Soman about galactic sentiment toward Earth. The news was mostly positive. Fear had transformed into cautious respect. Respect was evolving into genuine cooperation. New alliances were forming. Trade was flourishing. The galaxy was different now, and humanity had changed it. But the report also noted that unknown threats still lurked beyond explored space. The ending that the Devourers fled from was real and eventually might reach this galaxy. Other civilizations existed beyond the galactic rim, some friendly, some unknown, some potentially hostile. Jiwoo filed the report and pulled up Earth's long-term strategic planning documents. There was work to do, preparations to make, alliances to strengthen, technologies to develop. Humanity had revealed that their 13 diplomatic escort ships weren't their entire army. The galaxy had learned that lesson. But they didn't know everything yet, and perhaps that was for the best. Let the galaxy see humanity's strength. Let them understand humanity's commitment to peace. But let them also wonder, just a little, about what else Earth might have waiting should it ever truly be needed. On a quiet station orbiting Earth, a new generation of ships was being designed. Not warships, but exploration vessels, science ships, colony transports, the tools of peace, not war. Because now that humanity had proven they could fight, they could finally focus on what they'd always wanted to do: explore, learn, build, grow. The stars were waiting. And humanity, having shown the galaxy their strength, was ready to show them something even more impressive. Their dreams,